Wally West is back. The Flash has a bright future in the Infinite Frontier. Between Barry Allen's forays into the Omniverse as previewed in Infinite Frontier issue 0, and Wally West's return to the spotlight, it's safe to say it is a good time to be a fan of the Flash. And it is an especially good time to be a fan of Wally West. After the beating DC has given Wally over the past decade, from replacing him altogether with an entirely different Wally West in the New 52, all the way to having him murder fellow heroes, fans of the character brace themselves for the worst whenever he is brought in. Thankfully, new series writer Jeremy Adams has made it his mission to correct this tragedy. The Flash issue 768 begins with Wally convincing Barry to remove the Speed Force from him. Wally doesn't want his powers anymore, because as he says in the issue, "If I have my powers, I will use them." Instead, he wants a break from all of the turmoil. Now that he has his family back, he wants to settle down and spend time with them. And after everything that he has gone through, I can't say I blame him. Naturally, shenanigans ensue. Barry and Wally race off together, intent on stripping Wally of the Speed Force. But when they are running, a strange energy wave surges through them, leaving Barry powerless and hurling Wally into the past. Wally winds up inhabiting the body of a seemingly random person in an era of dinosaurs. But fortunately, he still has his speed. Or at least some of it. Operating at a greatly reduced speed, Wally faces off against a velociraptor that has somehow been imbued with the Speed Force, suggesting that matters are far more complicated than they already appeared to be. And then it gets even more complicated, as a massive Speed Force explosion sends Wally into the far future, where he inhabits the body of Bart Allen, aka Impulse. This is a story that throws you into the deep end, leaving you with numerous questions about what is happening. Which is good, because Wally and Barry are in the exact same position. Clearly, something insane is happening with the Speed Force, stripping speedsters of their powers while simultaneously granting speed to random creatures and entities. Leaving Wally persistently displaced in time, throwing him from one era to the next, puts the reader in an uncertain position, with the expectation that anything could happen. Now, Adams seems to have a strong grasp of Wally's personality, both understanding him as a family man and as a man with a strong sense of humor. Painting him as something like DC's Spider-Man, Adams has Wally cracking jokes to cope with the situation he finds himself in, including sliding down a dinosaur's back, a la Fred Flintstone. It is this strong characterization that gives me hope for the future of this book. With the intrigue about the Speed Force far from irrelevant, but taking a back seat to us readers finally having our Wally West back in action. This is the Wally West that so many of us grew up with, that we saw in the Justice League animated series, that was our Flash for close to 30 years. Now, all that is not to say that the issue is perfect. While reading, I had a strange sense that it wasn't moving forward with the momentum that I was expecting. Part of that might be the sequences with Barry attempting to locate and communicate with Wally. These scenes, also featuring Green Arrow and Mr. Terrific, are still well written and are not unessential, but did leaving me feeling like they bogged down things a bit. You see, we get Barry arguing with Oliver over their respective sidekicks, talking quite a bit about Wally's mistakes, like Oliver railing on Barry about what Wally did at Sanctuary in Heroes in Crisis. While I do think that this is important, showcasing where we are coming from so that we can have a good frame of reference for where we are headed, it felt a little bit forced for me. Add in Barry working with Mr. Terrific to locate Wally in the slightly convenient way they quickly figure out how to communicate with him, and I wound up feeling that much of Barry's portion of the story was a little forced and just not quite as well thought out. Not at all bad, mind you, just could have been a little bit stronger. And on the art front, while it felt a little inconsistent at times, overall the visuals are quite strong, with the interesting decision to have a different artist for each era represented. With 3 artists on the book, Brandon Peterson, Marco Santucci, and David Lafuente, the book feels surprisingly cohesive, save perhaps for the final few pages set in the future. Now, I am not particularly familiar with any of these artists, so I can't identify who did what pages, but I would say the only real nitpick I have is that all of the characters in the present-day sequences have very distinct outlines, making the characters feel like cutouts rather than naturally inhabiting the world around them. That aside, the art is generally quite stunning, making for a visually compelling book. But aside from these minor nitpicks, this was a surprisingly quick read for a 40-page book. It was fast, engaging, sets up a strong mystery right off the bat, and gives us this strong characterization of Wally West that fans have been craving for more than a decade. Though I haven't been overly impressed by some of the other Infinite Frontier offerings that I've read, such as Superman in Action Comics, which frankly disappointed me, and Titans Academy, which I didn't even bother doing a video for because I just really did not enjoy it. I am happy to say that Flash looks like he is in really good hands. And for once, finally, I am excited to see what's in store for Wally West. Be sure to help me out by hitting like and subscribe. Leave a comment to let me know your thoughts. And until next time, this is Uncle Joel saying, stay tangible.